Hey everyone, welcome to the Meridian Learning and Development Hangout. I'm Allison, and today we're discussing marketing tips and tricks that learning and development can use to boost awareness, engagement, and results. Today we have a funny and insightful panel of experts with strong backgrounds in marketing, leadership development, and training. I'm joined by Jeff Kristick, President of Meridian, and Fistful of Talent team members Chelsea Rowe and RJ Morris. We want this session to be as interactive as possible, so if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the Q&A section to the right of your screen or tweet them using the hashtag #LDHangout. All right, I'm going to kick it off to you, Chelsea.
Allison, great intro. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Jeff and RJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Fantastic, Chelsea.
Awesome. So topic today is marketing and learning and development, tips we can all share. So I got to ask you both. We'll start with RJ. What's the worst, most boring training experience you've ever had?
Ooh, most boring training. You know what? Back a while back, right when the Affordable Care Act came out, I went to an HR training on the Affordable Care Act, which just premise-wise, that sounds boring. And it was horribly delivered, no context, no business. It was literally an incredibly detail-oriented attorney talking about all of the things that were wrong with the act. Like I wanted to stab myself in the leg with a pen just to have a reason to get up out of the room. It was so bad. Like even like our benefits and comp people who are really into that were miserable. And so it's just no context, no kind of tie-in with the real world. It was, I'm just going to show off how much I know.
Oh, yikes. Well, thank you for not stabbing yourself with a pen that day, even if it would have gotten you an early exit. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I won't name any names for companies I was working with, but I think that it's sad, some of the onboarding experiences I've had. You think about your first impression. It's almost like the honeymoon period is before you actually sign the offer, and then it all kind of the reality starts when you show up for work that first day and you go through your onboarding experience, which is usually driven by somebody in training that's got 6 or 7 items that are required to take, like IT security and your sexual harassment training. But they kind of lose sight of the whole fact that this is actually the start of your employee engagement and your employee relationship. And I just have been through some miserable experiences where there was nothing personal about it. There was nobody that was kind of coaching or mentoring me through it. It was a list of items I had to check through to take online training that was 2.5 hours long with assessments along the way. And that's the first impression you're left with at the company, which is just frankly miserable. And so I think there's so much lost on that I probably have more of those bad experiences than good ones, which is a shame.
So why do we do that? Why do we put people through that?
Jeff, it's funny you say that because we talk a lot about dinner the first day, and we think about what is the person going to talk about at dinner when they get home from their first day of employment. Because you're right, they're so excited. They've imagined all this wonderful thing during the recruitment process. They've talked to mom, dad, spouse, wife, husband, brother, sister, and when they get home on that day one, how disconnected is that from the recruiting process? And it's brutal when it's bad. It's just so bad.
It is. Well, I think that's a great example of where education can kind of learn from marketing. So marketing folks always think about kind of the conversion or what you want to get out of the conversation. Or to your example, like dinner at the end of the day. Marketing thinks about, I want to get that customer to respond to my email, engage in a conversation, maybe come to a webinar, and have a positive experience. And I think the education folks or whoever put together that onboarding didn't necessarily think about, all right, what's the outcome we want from this employee? We obviously want them to come back tomorrow. We want them to say good things about us and say they had a positive, first day or second day and recommend it to other people. And if you kind of start with that in mind, how do you back up and build a training curriculum or a set of training that really delivers on that? I think they kind of forget about that as opposed to let's just check the boxes for the 5 things they have to do on day one.
Right on.
Absolutely right.
Right on. So next question, what are the biggest mistakes that we're making in learning and development that we shouldn't be, that marketing pros would say, guys, obviously do that? You hit a little bit of it, Jeff. Do you want to keep going down that path?
Yeah, so I'll, since you got Ferris Bueller in the back there, I'll reference another 80s movie. I think it's 80s, Build It and They Will Come. I think that's Field of Dreams. I think that a lot of education folks are really good at instructional design, and they know how to put together the best e-learning course or the best 4-day course, but they forget that they have to market it. They have to make sure not only that they understand who's taking the course, but how are those people finding out about information, because not everything is required training. So how are they promoting it? How are they delivering it in kind of bite-sized chunks based on how people want to consume things today. Have they thought about how they're going to promote it in their own social media? Are they going to have people tweet about it? Can they post it on LinkedIn? Can they post it on their internal social collaboration sites? And I just think that the education folks are so focused on building a great course, they forget about how are they going to promote it and get other people to consume it in a really effective way.
And to your point, we might have really great training to begin with, but so often I'll see training or be asked to critique somebody's training, and it's got the great building blocks. They're keeping it to an appropriate amount of time, and it's got all the facts they want. But is it really something that somebody is going to sit down and really be engaged, or is it going to be something like you experienced, RJ, where it's just, my God, get me out of this room? What's so wrong with including a engaging video clip? A little humor to get people blood pumping, a little energy in the room, and that's so often we don't think about that. RJ, what do you got?
Yeah, Jeff's exactly right. So if I think about mistakes that training and development folks do, and I'm blessed to work with some really good ones, but when they struggle, they're so focused in on the process, and they think about the process and the needs analysis and the content design and the support materials and the course objectives, but they don't think about the experience. So they're process focused versus experience focused. And the experience we want somebody to want to come to the training because they understand that it's going to provide a solution to a business problem, right? There's some context on the front end. Then there's the great delivery, great content, awesome experience in the middle where you're actually going through the training. But then on the back end, there's business context in that here's how you're going to be able to use this when you get back to the office. Here's the problem this is going to solve for you. And the training and development folks who struggle, I think, make a great 90-minute training curriculum. And it's well researched and it's documented and it's classic and it's got objectives and satisfaction evaluations on the back end, but it's not a good experience for the attendee. That's really where I think one of the biggest mistakes are.
Well, I think to your point, RJ. I mean, didn't each of you both mention your worst training experience had to do with how it left you thinking and feeling after? I know for me, I had to go through some research certification, and it was like a required. Had to sit through. It was going to be boring stuff, but they went in depth and dark detail about how, if you're going to do research on the children, you can't kill them. My God, I'll try. Okay, and it was just it was doom and gloom the whole time, and I think I walked away with more horror and shock that they thought that's what I was going to do, without actually walking away with probably the objectives they wanted me to learn about. I'm sure there was a lot in there that I could have taken away, but they made sure that they hit the don't hurt the children piece so hard that in terms of other usable information that could have helped me as a researcher.
Yeah, one of the challenges that I've seen is where the focus is too heavy on the content and not on the needs of the user. Meaning we've set up an objective because we need somebody to get training. They're deficient in this area or they need to round out a skill, and so we're going to deliver training to them. But what they don't spend enough time doing is just trying to figure out, why does this person need the training? What impact is this going to have on our business if this person gets the training and applies it, versus if this person just kind of sort of goes through the training and checks the box. And certainly there are struggles with compliance training. People who design really, really good compliance training, they should go straight to heaven because it's really, really tough in the HR world. But when it's done well, right, it applies to the role of the manager and compliance and things like that. And they try to solve business problems with training as opposed to solve training problems with training, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Right on. So Allison, check-in back with you. We're in the LD Hangout. This month we're talking about what secrets, tips, and tricks us in learning and development can take from marketing. Allison, what questions do we have?
I think let's go to the next question that we have here, because we're almost halfway through the Hangout, which is, what are the biggest mistakes that you guys see people are making with, training courses? I know that when I was onboarded for my very first job, they threw me about 5 Gartner HCM cycles and told me to read them, and that was just pretty much it. So, how can marketing, or how can learning take a little bit out of marketing's book and make those big mistakes, a little bit better?
Yeah, I can jump on that one. I think that we were kind of talking a little bit earlier. I think Fistful of Talent's a great example where you guys have developed a strong brand voice. So you're out there talking in the market about issues that are important, but you're taking kind of an edgy way to go at it without being offensive. And I think that one thing that education folks can learn from marketing is what's their brand voice. So they have to deliver content. Some of it's dry, and to RJ's point, the folks who write compliance training or required training should have a free pass to having, but they also write lots of other stuff that's important to help improve business results. How do you get sales reps to sell more, engineers to build higher quality products? But what's really the voice they're going to take? And I think marketing does a really good job, or at least a lot of organizations, establishing kind of a brand, establishing a voice and the tone they're going to use that they use as they take the products to market. I think education can do that as well. Are they going to be edgy? Are they going to be funny? Are they going to incorporate humor, satire, whatever it might be? You're still going to be professional, but how do you do that to get people's attention? Because just like marketing's competing for the minds and time of lots of busy people, the education folks are doing the same thing.
Well, especially in this day and age, nobody's got free time to go to training. I mean, anytime somebody has to go through a training session, whether it's live or if it's delivered an LMS platform, at the end of the day, they're still not doing another piece of their job. They're not attending direct reports they have if they're doing training. And so making it worth their while and creating a little bit of fun, like you said, Jeff, to make people want to tune in, to want to be there, and hey, happen to learn something along the way. Why wouldn't you make it more fun?
Yep.
That's a fantastic point that Jeff made about voice, and the best education folks that I know, the best training and development, learning and development people I know, they have their own brand. All of their material is consistent. They've got a fantastic internal brand, kind of external brand. And while those terms are overused, everybody knows who Matt is in our company. Matt's the great training and development guy. Matt's the guy you call when you've got a business problem on one of your teams, and he has helped solve that. And so it matches up perfectly with what I was going to say to answer the question. What can you learn from marketing? It has to do with packaging and how to consider the business problem you're trying to solve, and then how to present that to people you're trying to attract to the educational event, whether the training seminar or training class or whatever it is. But how do you want to position your product to solve a problem for them? Then get them engaged, get them into the event, and then how to package it and present it on the way out as solving business problems, and make sure that they know how to go apply that work on their way out. So it's again going back to a lot of the educational folks I know and training development folks I know are great at delivering the content. How do you want to package that, and not in a fake way, I'm not talking about just slapping a label on it. I'm talking about how do you present it to the organization in a way that lets everyone know what it is, how they're going to use it, what they're going to gain from it, and then on the way out, how to actually apply it on the job. That's what I think they could learn from marketing. Think about how awesome it is when you unpack your iPhone, right? And this experience from when you order it all the way through when the little box comes and you're amazed at how small the box is. And that's an experience that Apple has really worked hard to create. Not that all of us are going to create educational programs that are as cool as an iPhone 6, but you want that experience to kind of feel complete and have a through line all the way throughout it.
That's great.
I like that. Next time I develop something, I'm gonna want to think about how do I make it feel like you're opening your Apple Watch for the first time. Allison, do we want to go ahead and take it away?
Yeah, so one of the questions that we had come through, so you just were talking about promoting it, but what are kind of some quick wins, easy ways that you could, market your training courses? Like, I'm in marketing, so my immediate thing is, email communication or social or things like that, but do you guys have any other ideas of ways that L&D can start to market their courseware?
Yeah, a couple. I mean, so once again, learning from marketing. So as I said, a lot of learning folks will take the course, they'll build the best course in the world, they'll load it into the LMS, and they'll think users are just going to find it. And the reality is very few people are going into learning systems just to check what's new. And so thinking of the...
I'm doing that right after I get done here, by the way. I'm going to go into our LMS and just surf.
Yeah, you'll be the only guy who does it this week. your learning folks will love you. But so, I mean, you just mentioned, Allison, so email marketing. So how are you going to promote that? You know, build a cool banner, build a cool email, personalize it. You know, so don't blast it to the entire company. You build content that's specific to some users, send it to that group of users. Find a champion, find a salesperson or an engineer who's going to take the course and give you a testimony, just like we do in marketing. We get customer testimonials all the time. Find somebody there to give you a good testimonial. You know, let them promote it via some social channels, whether it's they tweet about it. Who cares if somebody outside the company hears that somebody took a great course? It's not like you're giving away proprietary information in the tweet. You know, let them scream it from the top of the mountain if they can, and that'll give it a whole different edge than just the learning person emailing it to a small group of people.
Yeah, I 100% agree. You know, getting your early adopters engaged, and so if your training is new and solved a business problem, find the person who hated that problem the most. Find the person who hated that IT help desk process the most, and get that person through your training, and they will sing your praises. And I also agree that the more you can talk about your internal training outside of the organization, it helps in a variety of different ways. So whether that's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, anything along those lines, you know, if people are talking really positively about training, that's a differentiator, because a lot of people are like, oh, God, I had to sit through a day-long training today. That's different than, hey, I went to a pretty cool training today and got some good stuff out of it. We use an internal Yammer network. A lot of other companies do stuff like that as well. There's all different ways to push that information out, but the point about a sponsor is critical.
Oh yeah, you got to build that reputational ROI within the company and without. Even if you create great training, if nobody knows it exists, or if nobody knows the value that it brings, that people enjoy that experience and actually felt like they got great skills out of it, it's not going to be worth anything. So definitely building that reputational ROI inside and outside the company.
Well, that's another area, I mean, that's a parallel between marketing and kind of learning and development. So marketing has gotten really, really good at measuring things, a lot better than they were 10 years ago. You know, if you looked at 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I entered the marketing folks would talk about, oh, we delivered X leads, thousands of leads. You know, look at Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, give me the leads. You know, now the business people are like, well, leads are kind of important, but what about the actual business? You know, how many of those leads converted to deals? How many of those deals did we actually win? How long did those customers stay around? Did they buy more? You know, I think education's got to kind of progress past how many people took a course. You know, to the people that took courses, did they close more deals? Were they more productive? Did those employees, you know, stay around longer and become better managers? You know, they have to think about the metrics, much like marketing has matured, and just get better at that.
I like that. More metrics driven.
Yep.
I like that.
And that's going to buy you a ton of executive support and a ton of just internal support throughout the organization. And I agree. You know, educational metrics used to be, did you like the course, right? 1 through 5, were you satisfied? And certainly we still do some of that, right? But showing that business impact is just crucial.
And doing that through an LMS, what better opportunity do you have than to capture that data and to actually explain what that numerical ROI is? Huge opportunity.
Well, it forces you, when you're building the course, to go engage with the business sponsor. So the LMS is very good at tracking who took what course at what time and some of the immediate feedback. But your business sponsor's got to tell you what is the result you're trying to get. I'm trying to get more productive sales reps. Well, what does that mean? That means they can build more pipeline, they can close more deals that are of higher value. So you're kind of pulling metrics off of each one of those. Those may not be in the LMS, but at least you're having that conversation. You're going and engaging with the business person that sponsored the content that was developed.
I dig it. Allison, how much time do we have left?
We only have about a minute, so I don't know if you guys have any final remarks you want to say from the dialogue, or I know 20 minutes goes by very quickly.
It does.
Or we don't have any more questions in the queue, so
okay.
Any last remarks? Final say?
Rapid fire. One tip you can give. What is it?
Communicate how you're going to solve business problems with the training.
I like it.
One tip, geez, promotion. You know, be the P.T. Barnum of education promotion. You got to be out there and be aggressively promoting it.
I like it. For me, it's engage and measure. Well, thanks everyone for your time. Today was the Learning and Development Hangout, sponsored by great folks over at Meridian. Hit us up on Twitter, shoot us an email, check out the video again and again and again on YouTube, and thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.